It's not a dream. It's Friday, and it's a mail call. Trust me, there was someone who commented on something on Instagram, and he was like, "Hey man, when are you gonna have mail call again?" And I'm like, I wasn't aware that people really missed it. But I mean, I know there's regulars, obviously dudes who watch all the time, people who watch all the time. I don't want to assume anyone's gender. But I don't know, it's just Friday's come. We've just been so busy. That's my excuse. We've been very, very busy. Plus, it's just, it's often more work than you think, but it's also, I have to remind myself, often less work than I think. That's okay. I'm just sitting here. It's Friday. Hot as the devil. Not much really going on here, except, well, I do have to say, okay, this house initially belonged to somebody who was a professor here at the local university. I've been doing a lot of yard work and sort of moving dirt and digging stuff up and moving stuff around and really trying to make it nice back there. I've been doing that since coronavirus started, when we were basically hiding in the house. Whoever this person was, man, they loved interesting rocks and fossils. They were like a crazy rock hound. I keep running around. I found like all this like crazy, well, these are some of the fossils that I found here. I mean, it's just crazy, some of the crap that I found. But he also, he was really into marine fossils. I keep finding things like well, you can't really see it. Like this. See that? This is the bottom of an ocean. These are some kind of creature tracks. These are what's left of shell impressions. But if you look at the sides of these things, you can actually see wormholes and stuff. There's more like basement of the bottom, but he also, whenever he would find stuff, sorry for that close up, I'm also finding chunks of material that he found in like rubble or something. I found this thing a long time ago, many years ago, and I couldn't quite figure out what it was. Marble. There are lots of pieces of marble around here. I don't know why. And I was looking at this thing, and it was, at first I thought it was a rock, and then I realized it was carved flat on the top. Looking at the top, it's the third of a circle, and the top is flat. It was broken off of something on this side, and I didn't know what it was. I couldn't figure it out. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. In medieval art and in architecture, they would change the perspective on stuff depending on how you were looking at things. And I looked up, and I'm like, I think it's a turtle. I think it's like, it was the top of something, corner of a door, top of a pillar. But if you look at it like you're down below, it's you can kind of see it. There's this head, maybe it was a lion, but I think it's like, you got tail, shell, front leg with the claws and everything else like that, turtle pulling his head into the thing. That's my theory anyway. Isn't that neat? And it was just in the dirt. I don't know where he got it. I'm like, was the guy a World War II veteran, and he brought home, but with a scientific interest, and he brought home stuff he found like overseas? This was carved by hand. This is old. But he found another thing. And this is what made me think that he really, really, really was walking around rubble. This, I thought it was a piece of cement. Looks like cement, doesn't it? But I was like, oh, wait a minute. It's got some finishing on it. Finished on this side, finished on this side, broken on this side, broken, broken. You can see it was part of a monument. It had a couple of metal tabs, like a staple, holding it to something. And this letter was drilled by hand. They drilled all of the drills that they used to make this letter. The drilling depths are all different, every single one, and they're not lined up. So I think it was done by hand. Then I looked at this really closely because I was trying to figure it out. This whole thing, it isn't cement and it isn't like just like igneous rock or anything, or even just sediment. Literally every single piece of this is a shell. The whole thing is marine skeletal stuff. It's bananas. But again, it looks like it got from demolished or blown off of something. Wonder what it was for. Anyway, that's enough of my preamble. I've just been looking at I've been finding crazy. Some of this, all this slate that he's been laying out, he had tons of this big slabs of slate underneath all the, like around the trees and stuff, but it's been there for so long, it's buried under grass. I'm finding undiscovered like fossils that are species of brachiopods that went extinct 350 million years ago. So I'm finding some cool stuff. But you know what? I want to show you a picture of that rock. This rock, close up. I just think it's amazing. I don't know who the guy was, but I mean, Sebastian, at a certain point, we were messing around in the backyard and I've been talking about fossils. So he's interested in what I'm interested in. And he just reached down and there was just rocks. And I picked up a rock and he's like, here's a fossil, Daddy. And he showed it to me. And it was, well, I don't know. It was crazy. I picked it up and it was a nautiloid. A chunk of a nautiloid, like a nautilus, like those old, like 400 million year old, before the Permian extinction, which was quite a long time ago. And he just picked it up and there it was. Every day I'm finding fossils, every single day. It's wild. You know, I always wonder, it's like, you know, I have the gall sometimes to complain about my life and I'm like, I have my own business, I work at home, and I'm a frustrated paleontologist. I never went to that, even though I always wanted to, and I can hunt for fossils without even leaving my own property. Well, you just heard a stream of consciousness. Let's start for real. First, mail call. Not mail call, wrist check. Okay, KVWR. Sounds like a radio station. We are here at the outdoor studios, checking things out. It's like those days when it was nice in the spring and teacher in the class would say, why don't we have class outside today? Well, that's what I'm doing. Okay, first, wrist check. The mighty, mighty wrist check. This is a piece that I researched a lot on and saved and traded for a long time ago. And I hadn't ever been wearing it because I kind of felt like a fraud. Even though I love the watch. But I was like, you know what, it's my watch, I worked for it, I can wear it, it's a joy, it's a vintage piece, so I'm gonna wear it. I've just been wearing it, and I'm very happy with it. This is a 1987 transitional 000, 168000. They were one of the shortest, if not the shortest production runs for Rolex sub. They were only made in 87 and 88. Mine is one of the really early ones. And it also is rare in that it has the Mark II variant dial with a S in front of Submariner. It kind of looks like a Z. This is original. I serviced it. I got it with everything. I have the box and tags and everything. All this stuff. I want to keep this watch for the rest of my life. Anyway, yeah, it's cool. 1987 000. The thing with these is that, in terms of value, is that they weren't made for long, but they're right in that time when Rolex was having trouble with their dial finishes, and the dials tend to get sort of mottled and rough looking, get little sort of H spots. Sometimes it's not very attractive, This one looks good, man. Yeah, so, you know, I want to just wear it. I didn't, this money, I worked for it and saved for this thing. And I sold another watch I had previously worked for and saved for specifically to buy this. And I've been not wearing it because it's too nice to wear. And I'm like, it's my watch. I'm gonna wear it. My great uncle had a Rolex Explorer. He wore it every single day for decades. And now I have it here. Okay. Slim. Oh my God, the chipmunk voice is amazing. Total accident. He's talking about, there was a video I did a bit ago. The first section, I recorded at the wrong speed. It was really slow, but I still wanted to use it. So I sped it up so that the flashing wouldn't be there. But then I sounded like I was a character on South Park. But you know, the great thing is actually it saved time and I still got the information across. Dean Spearbrecher. That's a great name. Wow, I can't imagine not knowing I had one of those. He is talking about this. It was in the safe deposit box. There's a lot of stuff in there that I forgot about because all the things that we had to clear out of my grandparents' house and all the things that they had from their families, and there's a lot of crap, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with all this stuff? Like this is a tiny sampling of the ancient antiques that we've got. But anyway, it was in there and it was under something else. I didn't realize it was there. I was there looking for something else, and I was like, there it is. It's just funky. But you know, I know this sounds silly to other people. I don't even know how many. Currently, right now, apparently I have 39 6139s. Sabrina went through and she did a complete inventory of everything I've got. She broke everything down by movement type, model type, case type, everything, and she resorted everything and put it into a spreadsheet with dates and serial numbers and everything. So I finally have an idea of what the heck I own. I currently own 39 complete 6139s. I have a lot of cases and movements and dials and stuff like that. But the really nice stuff, long ago, I guess I was thinking, and I put it in the bank and then promptly forgot about it. Whew. Scott McCormick. Love your work, which answered questions about the chronograph wheel that no one else did. Well, that's good news. Great video. My only frustration is that you do so much of your work off camera, lubrication in particular. I would love to be able to see this part as well. The issue with me filming something like that is I don't have any way to do that kind of super precision work while also filming. If I had like a glasses camera or something like that, like if you go on YouTube and you look like for like, you know, Dr. Pimple Popper videos and these people that do this stuff, it's a big deal. That Dr. Pimple person, she has some kind of a camera on her visor and you can see everything she's doing. If I had that, absolutely. The number one thing about lubrication that you have to know is too much is as bad or in fact worse than not enough. So you want to pull back because if you put in too much lubrication, it goes everywhere. You have no idea how much that stuff can spread. And some people really go nuts with it, you know, and there'll be a lot of lubrication running loose inside the watch. Best thing to do is to look online for scans of the movement that you want to work on. Seiko produced lubrication guides for almost everything. And it's actually with illustrations, and most everything I know came from the Seiko servicing guides. So it is, I mean, there's a few things different from them that I do. Very rarely they will say that the pivots of the pallet fork will need to be lubricated. That's not a standard practice. I don't do it. Because lubrication at that scale isn't lubrication. It acts as it'll suck up power. It'll act as a dampening grease, and it'll kill your amplitude. So really the only time I do that deliberately is when the lubrication guides are extremely specific about making sure that you do that, and it's something required. Other than that, I don't do it. But if you look online, you get those things, you'll see the pictures of exactly what kind of lubrication and then how much. Blair watch project. Oh crap. I still haven't put those jewels up on the website, have I? We have the upper and lower mainspring arbor jewels that ourselves and Daniel Blair watch project, we went in together and we produced these new jewels. They're what I'm using, they're what he's using. They're made in America, they're beautifully made. And I'm supposed to be selling sets of them, and I totally forgot about it. Forgot about it until this minute. So Daniel, I'm extremely sorry. I'd like to say I'll do it immediately, but I don't know how immediately because I have a lot of stuff to do today. Okay, anyway, Blair Watch Project. Hey Spencer, the 6105 8000s also came in a narrow window from June and July 1970 with resist-proof dial caseback. Super rare transitionals. Of all that I've identified, they have the hacking B movements. Okay, okay. What I would be perfectly happy to be wrong. I can certainly see a situation where Seiko might mix and match stuff, because clearly we've been talking about the 6139 6007s. It's what I've been working on. And they were a short-lived model, only made for 3 months, and sold, it is thought, to Central and South America, and they were seemingly used as sort of to use up the old A movements when the transition from A's to B's came. They sometimes have A movements, they sometimes have B's. They always have the B-type single piece sweep, always. They are never in a notch case. But other than that, they're just standard, they're bog standard. But that's a mix-up, because normally an A would never have the B-type sweep. I know Seiko did it twice. Early True Pogues, like if you get a True Pogue from like February, March 1971, they'll have an A, but with a B-type sweep. So I've seen them, and I believe that that's true. I know that they exist. I've never seen a 6105 8000. I've seen them from that time period. I've never seen one that I'm like, this watch is completely original, it's unrestored, I can tell it's never been touched, that had that thing. So I'd love to hear, you're looking at this and you have no doubt in your mind, this is stock, it's how it was done. I'd love to know more about that. Does the dial date match or around the caseback date? That's the next thing. What's the date on the dials? I'd like to see that. Obviously Seiko has things that they produce models for short runs to use up stuff, and then they move on. They've done it before, so they might have done it here. Alan Kilpatrick. Mr. Klein, very interesting video. Thank you. I have just acquired a 7548 from 1980 in wonderful condition. The only issue is that the lume is weak. Is that normal with vintage watches? And can anything be done to enhance the lume? I'm new to vintage watches and am keen to learn more. Okay, Alan, let's talk about vintage Seiko lume. It's as good a thing to do as any. I always like talking about lume. Okay, so you have a 7548, you're the original owner, and you said the lume doesn't glow anymore. So I'm assuming then that the lume is still white. At least I hope it is. So I didn't want to run back in. I'm here at the Outdoor Studios Klein Vintage Watch. I don't want to run back in to get a 7548, but this is a very similar baby in terms of luming. This is a Well, technically, this is a Seiko 7549 7010, but it's one that I converted to mechanical for fun. Anyway, this is all original Lume, and it barely glows, if at all. It'll glow a little if you really charge it. Now, that might be kind of annoying if somebody actually wants this thing to perform like a dive watch, which is to have bright, readable hands at depth. And yes, one can always relume a watch. A relume, it'll be more functional, but it'll drop the value of the watch considerably, like by a lot, like by half. Lume is it's durable, but there are certain situations in which it's pretty easy to damage. It's salt based, so Seiko Lume tracks water. That tracks water, and then you start getting it starts turning black. You can get coppers pulled out of markers if there's metal next to them. It's bad, and so it can look really bad. It can happen relatively easily, and it happened pretty often because people simply didn't take care of their watches. You know, you have to do the seals all the time to make sure that they're nice in the way they ought to be. And so most of them have water in them. So if your 7548 has Lume that looks like this, or even close to this, I would urge from a value standpoint, don't relume it, don't do anything with it. If, however, you're saying, this is my watch, I'm going to do with it exactly what I want because I want it to be the way I need it, then certainly you can go ahead and get it relumed. There's no way to really take that original Lume and make it go oomph. It just isn't. The old Lume has to come off, and the new Lume has to go on. Yeah, Lume is a real big deal. In terms of value and everything. Like, okay, so this is fun. I thought I'd do this. Two examples of the same exact model of watch. There's this one, and this one saw a good amount of sun, and you saw a good amount of sun, and you got darkening on the hands and the Lume. That's more water gets in there, it turns gray like that, and it just kind of faded and grossed everything out. Then you have this one, which, while not mint, it is extremely good. These are only a couple hundred units away from each other. 100 or 1,000 or something like that, but they were made right next to each other. So when you have, it's not faded, and you have that bright original Lume, there's no way to replace it. All you can do is either keep it steady or lose it. And the value is in that so much, not just because it's attractive, but because it's transitory. And so to have the good stuff there is where it needs to be. I love these blue dials. Love them. Here's another one it hasn't ever been restored. I've been saving this one for myself for, my gosh, a very long time. 6139 6001. It's an unusual. Wait, no, this isn't the 6001. No, it's 6005. Sorry, I got confused. That's a pretty watch. Needs a stem. Well, anyway, that's it. Lume is really. Oh, jeez, I forgot. I get another example. Wait, is this the 6001? No, that's the 6005 from 3.8. So I was actually using the wrong prop the whole time. So just play back everything I just said in your mind, except use this watch. This watch is this watch. Man, that bright white Lume like in the hands, yeah, the way to be. Okay, well, I am going to, Friday afternoon, evening, it is time for me to start thinking about relaxation. Okay, and this weekend I'm going to do a fossil video, I think. Okay, bye-bye. And we're back. This is a comment from the most recent video I had regarding this 6139 that I made a video of. Rick Johnson, what happened to the white ring on your watch? It's extremely misaligned. Well, there's a reason for that. 6139s, they don't have a static chapter ring that stays in one place like, like slim case 6139s or divers or something else like that. There was a vogue in the mid to the late 60s of you doing compressor style cases in certain ways. One of the things about the compressors is they had rotating rings internally. Seiko went with that. So this white ring, which was yellow when it was new, it's just faded, it rotates with the crown. So you have basically an elapsed time bezel indicator ring inside, but that means if you hit the crown, it rotates around. So, sometimes you knock it with your hand and it moves, and then you can put it back. There it is, see? That's a nice watch. One owner, all original to itself. I fought my instincts and I just serviced this and put it right back together. This was a one owner watch. Original Lume and everything. Ella Bay Forever. Is it? I always look at this and think it's all eBay Forever, and I'm like, wow, Ella Bay Forever. I sincerely and somewhat selfishly hope you get the nod to fit that movement, Spencer, as I can already imagine just how good the finished restoration in video will be. This is about the 6139 6007 that was heavily water damaged. If the watch has sentimental value, I certainly don't think such a well-executed, legit, and authentic restoration would diminish that value in any way. Fingers crossed for a green light. Okay, for those of you who didn't watch the video, I had a customer. I'm almost at the end of all my jobs. This gentleman was one of the very last jobs that I accepted like 3.5 years ago. It's been that long. But he sent in this watch, 6139 6007. It's a fairly rare variant, but due to an accident, it got some water inside, and the water did a real number. It destroyed the watch, basically. But a lot of the watch is still there. And I came up with a solution for this customer that would allow me to restore the watch to stock, to what it would look like, but it would be expensive. The gentleman instead asked if I had a gold dialed watch, and there we are. And he traded in the dead 6139 6007 to me against the cost of this. The solution that I laid out for him in that video, I will do to that watch. I boxed up that movement and dial and all that stuff. I boxed it up separately, and someday when I have some time, that watch will be resurrected and it will go back to what is correct for 6007, and all of that damage will be undone, and it will be. And when I do that, I will make a video, and I've never owned a 6007. I'll do the best I can. I think so. It will get restored, just not right away. Todd Shuck. Hello, Mr. Shuck. This is a question on that same video about what to do with that 6007. An interesting decision. It will cost a lot to fix. And even if you can get it back together, the case looks polished. The case is a little polished, but it's not that bad. Be fun to see the build if you get to do it. I'm going to get to do it because the watch is mine. So it is, it was a trade-in. So like I said, I'm going to box it up. I boxed it up, put it away, and I will revisit. And someday that watch will be the same. Andrew W. Oh no, that's too obvious. Let's just call him A. Warner. Interesting video, Spencer. If it were me, I would have it restored using the original correct parts you have for it. That's going to happen. It has Dynie marked on the inside of the case back. Do you know if they made all the 6007 variants or if they were just helping out with production? I don't know. I think it's pretty standard. They have all the 6007s. They have the thing where like the weight has the Dynie Seiko thing on it. Case back, I'm not sure. They're consistent in being inconsistent. One thing I'm wondering, okay, you have this model, 6139, 6007, produced for 3 months with both the A and the B movements. The thing I'm curious about, an A movement has a shallower case back because the movement stack height is lower. It's a 0.5 millimeter, it's 4 millimeters instead of 4.4 or 4.5, something like that. So I have that 6007 here, made during that 3-month window, has an A-type caseback, a shallow caseback. But if they made 6007s with a B, then it would have to have a B-type taller caseback. They were only making these in 3 months. So that means potentially out there in the world, there are 6139 6007s casebacks in both variants only from a 3-month window. They'll have the A-type and the B-type. So if anybody out there has a 6007 watch or a caseback, just a caseback, I'd be curious to know the height of just that caseback. Flying E. I have a few Pogues in the collection, but the yellow gold dial always mesmerizes to such a degree that the smile on my face always tops a blue or silver dial in much better condition any day. The yellows are, when they're good, they're great. When you have the deep, lustrous egg yellow gold, it's really beautiful. It's beautiful, beautiful watch. The tones, as you know, on those gold dials, they went all over the place. They went for a very, very light, pale yellow, even paler than this, with variations like Pogue's own watch on the subdial. There's a light ring around under the text around this, the numbers under the subdial. It's just like the clear coat, the yellow, that gold color is like it's thinner there. Sometimes you see that. That's what Pogues look like. Then you get these sort of richer colors, and then going on towards the end, especially with this, like the 6002s and stuff, Southeast Asia, Australasia, that kind of thing, they can be really like golden, and some of them I saw one that was dark enough that it was ever so slightly trending to brown. It wasn't sunburned or anything, it was almost a brand new watch, but the colors changed a lot. They also, for me, I love the gold dials, but they worry me because they are prone to getting patina marks, which I swear is due to oxygen. So I don't wear them as often as I should, but I do love them. And when they're in good condition, oh, they're beautiful. My personal favorite, though, I really like, I like the earlier blue dials personally. They came in a couple different shades as well, though it's pretty subtle. Sometimes they looked just black. Sometimes they looked sort of blue-black or brown-black. The best ones are the ones that are just midnight blue with a semi-gloss finish, and you can see the refraction of the metal layers underneath. Those are my favorite. And you have that like blue. It's really nice. Lord Bogus. Can't believe watch companies. Oh, this is a comment on an old video. Everything's falling apart. My review video on this baby. What is that? SRQ something or other. SRQ031. Yeah. It's a beautiful watch, but it's pretty thick because Seiko didn't make this an integrated chronograph. It's a basic 7000, it's not a basic, but it's a 7000 series 3-hand movement with a chrono module on the front. So it beefs it up. It's probably about the same thickness, maybe a little thicker as anything with like a Valjoux 7750. It's kind of a chunk. It would be awesome to get a slimmer, lower stack height. I mean, speaking of this stuff, going back to talking about Seikos and the A movement versus the B movement, that little bit of height that was added to the case back when they went to the B, it has a big effect. If you look, I really like. Yep, a couple minutes behind as it's supposed to be. It rings before it indicates. But like the A-type chronographs, like if you get an early slim case, well, hang on a second. Okay, so yeah, you get an early chronograph. These are both really early. They're both unrestored. They're both A's, and especially, but as a result, you've got the lower case back here on both of them, and this 6139 6010. It's an early one. The whole thing, the whole stack height is just a little bit lower, and as a result, especially effective with this case model, it sits much more tightly to the wrist. It's much more elegant, and I think the later ones, they tend to have sort of a blockier feel to the case that, I mean, it's subtle, but I don't know, I'm a fan. But that's because this is an integrated chronograph. Everything was built to be a chronograph, whereas this thing was a dress watch that had a chronograph module put on the top. Makes it thick. It's still a good looking watch though. It's a pretty watch. I have this for sale on the website. I haven't been wearing it because it's for sale on the website. Also, I'm not a fan of cordovan. That's what these straps are. It's not leather per se. Cordovan is made from smooth muscles from the rump of a horse. So this isn't skin, it's actually muscle. And you know, I like horses. And I'm pretty sure the horse needed this, but what are you gonna do? I don't know, it's pretty. But the ones, these and the pandas, they're pretty cool. I like that it has a rotating ring, which is why I chose this one. I don't know, maybe I ought to wear it. That's it, folks. Not much else going on now. Started working on the MG again. Like really actually starting to move forward, like cleaning up the garage. Actually working on the MG and figuring out how I'm gonna deal with it. I found an early dash for it. These MGs, they had 3 different kinds of dash, early, middle, late. And the middle, which is the one that I have, is of course the dumbest of the dashes. Later dash, it's the only MGB dash that doesn't have a glove box. There's no glove box. And they have this like in front of the passenger, it's like some kind of safety thing. It's like this big pillowy lump in the front of the, I guess, because there were no airbags in 1969, but it's a stupid claustrophobic design that I don't like. So I am actually gonna go backwards. I'm gonna put it to the 67 and before standard, which is like a real like classic, you know, sports car, you know, black crackle finish metal matte with sort of a big sort of instrument bezel thing, with big tachometer and speedometer. I'm gonna do all kinds of cool stuff. I'm gonna take the radio console, which is kind of sitting on the tunnel. I'm going to that normally would have just a speaker in it in those early ones. I'm gonna have speakers in the doors and in the back. And I'm gonna take that console and I'm gonna put MP3 docking in it. I'm gonna put also, I'm gonna put some airplane flight instruments in it, including a dash clock from a World War II fighter plane. That should be cool. I'll just make it my own. I'm just trying to decide if I'm gonna return it to the stock red or move it permanently to the orange, the blaze. I don't know, I can't figure it out. Anyway, that's it, folks. So I thank you so much for your time. I apologize for not making one of these videos for quite some time, but it's a mental effort. It's a mental effort, and I'm real tired. It's because we're just so busy. We're trying to get things going, and I need a break. But I'm getting there. I'm getting there. These last jobs that I have coming, they're all big ones, all complicated, Lots of twists and turns. Not, very few of the jobs that are left are just sit down and restore them. A lot of them require a lot of consultation with the owners and back and forth and video making and pictures and research on my part, and it just eats up a lot of time. It seems like I'll never be at the end of my jobs, but I will be. It just takes some time. A lot of people want to know when I'm going to start taking work again. I don't know. Let me just get to the point that there isn't a single job of any kind in here for anyone. Let me breathe for a minute, think about things, and then we will talk about new jobs. I just this second